Did you and your friends ever break into an abandoned building?
Yeah, we did a couple of sneaky things. It's like you hop over a fence and then in hindsight you're like, I could have died.
Yeah. So me and my friends went in a barn and then we went into one of the rooms and it just said hell on the wall and then we all screamed and ran out. And I got home.
How old were you?
I was about 9.
And you just went in a barn.
Yeah, and hell.
Some edgy teen had just gone, hell! And then you walked in as a kid.
I was like, ah! And then I refused to sleep by myself for about a week and I had to sleep on my brother's bunk bed.
Come on, Phil, there's only so many body parts
My
that people
auntie
pierce.
had that pierced. What's that called?
Did she actually?
She did, handskin.
Your aunt?
Yeah, Auntie Sandra. Handskin.
Are you remembering
I
this
might have
right?
dreamt it. I'll have to ask my mum, but she's
She
asleep now.
might have dreamt it. Do you understand how infuriating it is to have a conversation with Phil on any given day?
Well, we had a mop bucket. In the
We had
cupboard.
a mop bucket.
It was filled with water.
in the cupboard.
We were a bit lazy.
And
cleaning
we
out the
left the water
water.
for maybe a few weeks. Anyway, I thought, I'm gonna empty out the bucket now. Seriously, if you don't want to hear this, close your ears now. I'll wave when you're ready. So I emptied the bucket into the sink, and I was like, oh, something is clogging the plug hole. What is that? Oh, I'll just reach in. And then I reached down, and it was the dead body of a mouse that had been in the bucket for about 3 weeks.
You said it was the body
It
of
was
the mouse.
a mouse mush.
It was very... It was...
Oh, it was so horrible! It was so horrible!
I wouldn't have said that. You said the M word.
It was
That's
horrible.
gross. I would have said that a lot more nicely.
It's the worst thing I've ever
Look.
touched.
Now, I had a friend called Jessica that lived on my street that was about 2 years older than me, and I looked up to her so much. She was the best thing in the world, according to me. I wanted to be like her in every way. I made my handwriting like hers, I would talk like her, but there was one thing that I didn't have, well, apart from the fact that she was a girl, but she had braces. I was so jealous. I wanted braces. These must have been the shiny teeth sources of her power. So yeah, every time I went to the dentist, I would wish and hope and pray that he would say, Philip, you need braces, but he never ever did. So one night before the dentist, let's call it Dentist Eve, I actually lay there in bed trying to push my front teeth forward, like, in the hope that when I got to the dentist, he would say I needed braces. Thankfully that didn't work and I never did get braces or a Jessica sex change. So when I was about 6 or 7, I was on holiday in Portugal and I did an entire length of the pool, which was pretty awesome. And my grandma said to me, "Ooh, Philip, you're such a good swimmer. I think you're part fish." So from that moment I was convinced I was some kind of superhero, fish boy. So when I got home, I would secretly eat fish food in the hope that it would improve my superhero fishy powers. Oh dear. So if you'd have asked 6-year-old Phil the one thing that he wanted in the world, it would be a metallic green envelope. Now I don't know why. I don't know why I had this weird craving to own metallic green envelopes. I don't even know what I wanted to put in the envelopes. If I wanted to post them to people, I just really, really wanted them. And I'd always ask for them for Christmas and I would never get them. So I never found out what I was gonna use them for, unless I get one now. Who knows what might happen. Now this is a weird one. The thing that scared me the most as a child was when people cheered during football matches. So whenever there was a football match on TV and everyone was like, yeah, I would just burst into tears. So all my family would be like, he's gonna score, oh my god, yeah, yeah! And I'd be like, why does everyone have to yell? Okay, this is probably the weirdest one. When I was in primary school, I used to talk to my shadow. Yeah, I believed that I could communicate with my shadow in the shadow realm, and I did this by putting my hood up and then walking along the netball lines, you know, that are drawn onto playgrounds. So I was just enjoying my time in the shadow realm, walking along this line, when all of a sudden I felt something soft press into my face. So I looked up to realise that I'd walked directly into the boob of the scariest dinner lady in the school called Mrs. Goldsworthy, and she was like, my breast! Sorry. What are you doing anyway, boy? I was just in Shadow World. You are a danger to society. I never thought I would be called a danger to society, but yeah, after that I tried to keep my Shadow Realm antics on the down low. When I was about 5, my mum used to read me a book called Flat Stanley, which was about a boy that got crushed by a pinboard above his bed, and instead of obliterating his internal organs and making him die, he became a 2D person and had loads of adventures going down drains to get people's keys and fitting through cracks of girls' changing room doors. I don't know if that happened in the book, but I wanted to be Flat Stanley. So I thought, hey, here's an idea. Why don't I crush myself with my pinboard too? So I grabbed hold of each corners, pulled them on top of myself, and lay there thinking, please be flat, please be flat, please be flat. Unfortunately, it had just given me a massive bang to the head. My parents ran in like,
What's going on?
And I burst into tears, saying, I just want it to be flat. The bang to the head probably explains a few things, but yeah, that was a pretty weird thing. Moving on. I didn't like watching TV. I liked watching my teddy bears drown. Yeah, I used to put all my teddy bears in the washing machine when my mum did a wash, and I would sit there for the entire hour just watching them go around and around as the machine slowly filled with water. It sounds like some kind of saw trap. I don't know what I was thinking at the time. Maybe it was hypnotizing me or something. My parents found it really weird, but apparently it kept me quiet, so they were just like, nah, keeps him quiet. Whatever makes the boy happy. Thanks, Mum. Time to go for a spin. Goodbye, old friend. No. So I was the fussiest eater ever as a child. And I think the only things I would eat was like chicken dippers and pancakes, which I mean are good choices, really. But my parents wanted me to try new foods. We had this tape of The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, which was like my favorite TV show. I would only eat the food under the following criteria. If A, the room was pitch black, B, the lion was on the screen, and C, someone else was feeding me the food while I held my nose. But yeah, thankfully I grew out of that one. Imagine going on a date with a girl. Delicious food. Will you just put your hair around your face a bit? Why? Yeah, and just say, I am Aslan. I am Aslan. Yeah, just say it like that. Rawr. It's over. Oh. But yeah, now I eat all the foods, which is probably even worse. I was the reason my parents didn't have any more children. Yeah, I'd wait for them to go to sleep and then stand about this far from their faces until they woke up. Or in the corner just staring at them like some kind of demon Blair Witch child. And apparently I had like a completely emotionless expression, just like... So imagine that, just drifting slowly off to sleep and then waking up at 3 in the morning to Mother. I'm sorry, parents. And unborn life, wherever you are. Weird. In primary school I was about 8 years old, and we had a year assembly where the whole year just sits around and sings hymns and stuff. He's got the whole world in his hands. Hymns were really weird. Anyway, I got this idea in my head that I should tie my shoelaces together. No one noticed, but then when everyone got up to leave assembly, I fell over. And everyone was like, are you okay, Phil? What happened? At that point, I said, someone tied my shoelaces together. So the headmaster was like, nobody leaves this assembly until a culprit is found. So my entire year had to stay behind for an hour trying to work out who tied my shoelaces together. Anyway, it turned into a kind of primary school court case where the school bully Jenkins was put in the dock. This seemed like something Jenkins would do. I didn't see anything, but it might have been Jenkins. I sentence you to death. So yeah, I got him sentenced to death. Well, detention. I don't even know why I did it. What was wrong with me? What was I doing? I must have had a temporary moment of insanity like the cat bin lady or something. Up until the age of about 14, I sat down in the shower. And this wasn't just a single event. Every single shower I had, I was sat down. I don't know why I was sat down. Maybe I was just too lazy to stand up for 5 minutes. Maybe this was the origin of my laziness. Can I just make a side note that I now definitely do shower stood up. And also I shower with my back to the water, and it's insane to me that anyone would shower any other way. I know like 50% of people shower with the water facing their faces. Why do you do that? Firstly, you've got the water spraying into your eyes, and secondly, you're leaving your naked back exposed for serial killers, shower ghosts, wild boars. When I was aged about 5 or 6 in primary school, I would tell the weirdest lies ever for no particular reason at all. Some classic examples are, hey Phil, is your dad picking you up from school? Yeah, stepdad. Yeah, I'm actually half American. Sometimes I just slip totally back into it. No, I've got 2 brothers, the other one's in prison. So the weirdest one is when I went back to primary school in September when I was about 7, I started a new class and I came to school wearing this yellow wristband that I'd found at home. And this is how I explained it to people. Hey, what's that thing on your arm? Oh, this is because I have type X negative blood. Yeah, it's the rarest type in the world. Wow, that's really horrific. Yeah, if I get a nosebleed, I'd probably die, so I have to wear this as a nosebleed alert. Nosebleed alert. I think I was just trying to get loads of attention, which links us nicely into my next story. I had an uncontrollable urge to have a broken arm. So my best friend in school fell out of a tree and broke his arm, and he got to go to hospital. When he came back, he had a bright green cast on his arm, and everyone signed his cast, and he instantly became the coolest kid in school that day, and I wanted that. I wanted that so badly. I didn't want to physically hurt myself on purpose, so it would have to happen in an accident, but I was just willing that accident to happen. I've got a really clear memory of going to a wishing well with my parents, and we all flicked coins in to make a wish, and I flicked mine in and I whispered, I want to break my arm this year. What did you say, son? I want to know the taste of beer. Don't worry, lad. You will one day. I wish I was a goose. Alas, I never got a broken arm and had a broken arm-free childhood until I got to university and broke my hand in the first week in a piggyback race. That's another story though. So when I was about 6, I found what was probably a dying or disabled fly on my windowsill. So it was just kind of shuffling itself along. When I went near it, it didn't fly away. So I thought, new pet. If I zoomed in on it with a microscope, it'd probably just be like, kill me. I named him Mr. Fly, and I got my mum to give me a little plastic box which I put holes in the top, and I fed him jam on a pencil. Hello, new best friend. I even remember stroking his little head sometimes. Ugh. So I decided after about 3 days that Mr. Fly had been rehabilitated, so I decided to set him free into the wild like a nature documentary. So I opened the window, picked up Mr. Fly, threw him out into the sky to be free in your natural habitat. Except that didn't happen as he just bounced off the roof and then drowned in the gutter. Rest in peace, Mr. Fly. So sorry. So in primary school geography, they taught us that Australia was at the other side of the world to us, which made sense to me. I drew pictures like this. Look, there's me. There's some kind of global catastrophe. I'm not sure what happened there. And there's Australia. Look, there's a man in a cork hat and a kangaroo. G'day. What I didn't understand is the concept of gravity and why these Australians weren't flying off the Earth into space. I was so worried for them. Why would people live there? I thought they'd have to wear some kind of special moon boots to keep attached to their floor. How did the kangaroos keep hold? What if they had a little baby Joey that just floated out of their pouch into the atmosphere? Thankfully, Year 7 science cleared that right up for me. Okay, you can't really blame me for this one, but as a really young child, I got it into my head that hot dogs contained actual dog meat. Yeah, I think this came about when I saw a hot dog van which had an image like this on it. I was so disturbed thinking that my parents were eating dogs. I'd be watching Scooby-Doo and they'd just be chowing down on a puppy like it was nobody's business. And this all came to a dramatic conclusion when my uncle brought over his dog Meg. I did not want my family to eat Meg, surprisingly, so I locked myself in the bathroom with the dog. Hey up lad, let us in. I won't let you eat her! I later on discovered they were actually made from pig. Could never watch that Babe video again. Until I was about 13, I thought that seahorses were mythical creatures. I didn't know they were real. I put them in the same category as unicorns or Bigfoot, though I do suspect Bigfoot is just a hairy naked man running through the forest and we should respect his life decisions. But yeah, seahorses, no idea. The revelation happened when I visited an aquarium with school. We were just looking at some tanks and I was like, ooh, jellyfish, ooh, sexy conger eel. What? What? My entire world collapsed when I saw this seahorse in the flesh. It was like I'd seen a real-life Pikachu in the wild or something. I just couldn't believe it. So I turned to my friend Matt and said, is this some kind of hologram or something? What? Well, you know seahorses aren't real, so they must be plastic or something. Being a terrible friend, he then put his hand up and said, hey sir, Phil didn't know that seahorses are real. Everyone pointed and laughed at me, and I kind of wanted to throw myself into the shark tank, but instead I shifted the blame onto Matt by saying, Matt's scared of puppies. That was our secret. I'm still not entirely convinced they're real though. I mean, what is that? What is it thinking about? What are its motives? Okay, you're ready for this. When I was about 6, I thought that every boy got married to their mum. Yeah, I thought if my mum and dad were like mother and son, mother, son, husband, wife. I was only about 6, so the creepy incest weirdness of that didn't really occur to me. And I only found out the truth when I was like, hey mum, so when are we getting married? And she put me on the right track. Not the track towards our marriage, the track towards not. Disney! Okay, so let's have a look at the Disney logo. Magical. Right, look at that D. That does not look like a D. It looks like some kind of weird spirally G shape, and for years I could not read that as a D. I thought that they were actually called Gizney, but everyone just for some reason pronounced it as Disney, and I never understood why until one day I was just watching Aladdin and I was like, I can see the D! Did anyone else have that moment? Or was that just me? Can everyone else just see it as a D? I don't know. I don't know. I still think it looks like Gizney. Cows. So for some of my younger years, I thought that milk was actually cow pee. Yeah, I thought that the udders were the boy parts of cows, and needless to say, I thought that milk was pretty gross for a while. I think that's all I need to say about that one. So when I was about 7, my brother convinced me that I had psychic powers, and if I thought hard enough, I would be able to move things with my mind. So I'd just sit in my bedroom staring at a glass of water, trying to Matilda it across the table, and it would never ever work. I felt like a failed superhero, like Elektra or something. This is why brothers are evil. Thanks, Martin. I remember one day seeing my grandma smoking and saying, "Hey grandma, why must you smoke?" And she said, "Smoking keeps the fire lit inside my belly." So I found that concept terrifying. I thought she was a fire demon. I thought she had some kind of fire creature living inside her stomach for years. I was actually quite scared of my grandma's stomach because of this lie. Why do adults tell kids stuff like this and then not tell them the truth? Although she always did have freakishly warm hands. Maybe she was a fire demon. So I actually thought that cats had 9 lives, as in actually had 9 lives. So it's probably a good thing that I never had a cat, because I was really willing to test this theory. Okay, Kitty, you're on life 1, so let's put you in the vice. Thankfully, I never got a cat. So I remember watching some American TV show and one girl was like, "Oh my god, why didn't Jenny come swimming?" And the other one was like, "Oh, she's on her period." So I thought that a period was some kind of holiday retreat. I don't know why. I don't know where that came from. So when one of my teachers was off sick, I asked the supply teacher, "Has Mrs. Smith gone somewhere sunny for her period?" So I got shouted at and sent under the clock. Which, side note, was really weird. In my primary school, if you were naughty, you had to stand under a clock. This really weird clock while everyone else ate lunch and stared at you. I think I went to a weird Satan school. But yeah, periods are not holidays.
So I whacked my contact lenses in. Whacked. That sounds a bit painful. I gently placed the weird pieces of plastic on my eyeballs and went outside to get the underground. This is when the incident happened. Seriously, this could only happen to me. I got on the tube and it was pretty crammed, but there was a seat next to a woman wearing a pretty yellow dress, so I sat next to her, and I don't know if she'd been rubbing cats all over her body before she left the house, but my allergies started to tickle. I gave them a quick rub, as you do, and then I realized I couldn't see out of my left eye. Had I filled my eye with cat fur? Nope. Had a moth flown into my eye? Nope. Had I just pressed some glass into my eye from the screen of my broken phone? Oh yeah, I broke my phone, by the way. Nope. My contact lens had fallen out. I looked on my legs, I looked on the floor, I looked all around the tube carriage, until I shiftily looked to the right, and I noticed that my contact lens had only gone and fallen out and stuck to the woman's arm. It wasn't on her dress, it was on her actual skin. She had my eye juice on her arm. I know as a decent human being, I probably should have said something, but I didn't. I just went bright red and stood up and dizzily walked off the train with no depth perception. If she'd have noticed when I was sat next to her, I would have just imploded from embarrassment. I'm so sorry, yellow dress lady. Anyway, glassesless and contact lensless, I spent the rest of the weekend having some very blurry chats with some very blurry faces. I was watching an episode of Demon Slayer, having a lovely time. Mid-scary demon scene, halfway through the episode, there was a power cut. I don't like that. So I just sat in complete darkness, tried to use my phone torch, and in the process, took this lovely picture of my face. This really represents my feelings at the moment. The power came back on. Rejoice. This is already enough for this nervous squirrel to handle for one evening, until the video doorbell detects motion. What? Who? Why? It's 11 PM. Why on earth is someone at my door motioning up my motion? That should be illegal in my law. I wake up to the loudest noise I have ever heard. Really weird music is blasting at an incredibly loud volume in my house at 2 AM. It has really heavy bass, it is shaking the walls. It feels like there is a nightclub inside my pillow. 3/4 asleep, I just jump out of bed, and for some reason I'm then on the floor, on all fours, like a confused newborn cow, not sure how to stand up. Do you know in horror films when the killer plays loud music in the house, or like the mum in Gremlins going down the stairs? I was feeling genuinely scared. So I guess it's time to meet my maker.